Right now!
From unknown parts of metropolitan New York City. And the hip this is Lee.
Yes, hello, good evening, or good morning, good afternoon, whenever you might be tuning in. Welcome, everybody, H&L. That's right, we're hip and the lip. It has been a little while, so we are back. The hip here will be on his way to Chi-Town in only a couple of days, catching that, so widely anticipated Cubs-Cardinals game, which I just learned 4 seconds ago. But before then, we figured we'd have to get a show in because we have not done one. I have to gloat about a couple of things. We have to talk about how the Islanders season is almost over, about how everybody in New York sports stinks. Brooklyn's out. Mets and Yankees stink. Giants, Jets stink. Well, the Jets maybe not so much, but the Giants do. And how the Knicks, all we have now is the hope for is Zion and that every other free agent comes here. But nobody cares about the NBA because the ratings are so down. What do you say, Mr. Hip?
As I say, we are a New York sports podcast, and I heard that they are still shoveling that snow that hit the Chicago area over the weekend. So
did it? No, actually, it did snow there.
The most snow that they received this late in the year, if you will, since the 60s. So looking forward to bundling up.
That is awesome. I am jealous. I am so jealous of you folk in the Midwest. You're probably thinking, what the hell are you talking about? It's April. We're done with snow. Yeah, well, we didn't get any snow here this year. So I wish we could have had an extended winter, although we've gotten some nice chilly weather. All right, the weather portion is over, but that Pandora's box was opened by Hip, not by Lip. So, yes.
All right, fair enough. Indeed. Well, let's like us on iTunes. We're on Stitcher. You can listen to us there. We're on Spotify now. Figured that one out.
Oh, it's right. We are on Spotify. I did see that.
We are on Spotify now. So let's talk about. We're not going to lead off with the Islanders. The Islander Nation that listens to this podcast will
all four of you.
We await that uplifting discussion, and we will get there. Let's kick it off with some NFL draft talk. I mean, here's the thing with me in the NFL draft. I am not a big fan of watching it.
Who cares?
Chosen. Exactly. Yep. The media attention that this thing gets is just so insanely, ridiculously over the top. And I mean, I get it. It gets ratings. And, the NFL is a machine as far as how they schedule out everything, the entire year. There's always something, to pay attention to, like what's going to happen. I get it. They do a great job of it. But just tell me who the damn players that they picked. I mean, come on, let's just get to the bottom. I mean, the drawn out process of the preview show. I mean, it's just so over the top. But congratulations to all the players that were selected. And it was, for me, I mean, just being a Jets fan, it was just refreshing, I guess, is the feeling I have coming out of this draft, and that the negative media attention here is not being directed towards the New York Jets. And that for once. I mean, that is just not something we're used to. And so let all the manure be thrown the Giants' way. Sure. A little different. So that's, I mean, look, we could spend all day. Oh, this was oh God, number 6. Why they dare take a Duke quarterback? Oh, well, you can't risk. I'm sorry, Giants. You can't. I mean, Giants fans, you can't risk a Duke quarterback falling to 17.
I mean, Duke quarterbacks are always the rave. I mean, hey, Dave Brown, everybody remembers that Duke quarterback, how well it worked out for the Giants. What could go wrong again? But hey, this coach was Eli and Peyton's mentor, so he says that he's going to be the next Peyton Manning. Oh, no, he said you put Eli and Peyton in a blender, and what you get is this Daniel Jones. That's what his exact wording was, this Duke coach that's the mentor for the Mannings. And so I guess and also Dave Gettleman, of course, fell in love he fell with Daniel Jones at the Senior Bowl. All like 9 snaps that he took and all like 4 throws that he made in the Senior Bowl. I guess maybe it was a few more than that. But the Senior Bowl, which has, all of the best players that Division I AAA has to offer, nobody plays in the Senior Bowl. So it's like one of those, it's one thing out of 1,000 different things you should be watching when you evaluate any quarterback, but fell in love. So we'll take him at his word. And like you said, Can't risk it falling to 17. So, but but the Jets, they get to avoid the media manure storm. Since you already used that, I'll just steal it from you. The manure storm was, and it wasn't at any. It's not even like it was here only, New York only. Well, you have two teams. Which one's it going to go at? All of the NFL teams, out of all of them, the one that got the most thrown at them was the Giants. They really were the clown show for the NFL draft, really because of this. Obviously, some bad luck with the guy that they drafted and then gets shot, which I guess Mike Francesa, had to make sure he took a shot at the Giants for that today, which was just absolutely ridiculous. I mean, what a jerk.
The guy got killed. I mean, come on.
Yeah, I mean, someone died, and apparently the guy they drafted will be okay. He is in the hospital. They said he's going to make a full recovery. He should be able to play again, which obviously, number one, is he going to be okay before you worry about playing football? But, I mean, that's just, is bad, all around. And then the other thing, of course, that the NFL made sure that they told their NFL Network and ESPN and all the affiliates, make sure nobody talks about Tyreek Hill. Nobody say a word about it. Nobody wants to hear about how, one of our star receivers is breaking his 3-year-old's arm and then threatening his wife and how he's still on the Chiefs. But that's okay. We don't have to talk about that. We got the memo, Roger Goodell and NFL. We won't discuss it. Not here, not on this little sliver of coverage that our wide listenership will get.
But Kareem Hunt was already re-signed by a team, right?
He was, I think, Cleveland. And
they
have Beckham, they got Hunt.
He's already been re-signed. It's just, look, Ray Rice got, he was untouchable after his event in his video. Kareem Hunt in a video. Well, he got re-signed. I wonder.
He's still good. He could still play. Ray Rice couldn't, so it's like,
oh, that's right. Yeah. Well, the good guys, I guess, get.
Hey, you got talent. They'll keep you around. If Tyreek Hill, of course, was the third string offensive lineman, his stuff would have been, his suitcase would have been like on the curb of the road, and they were like, oh yeah, see ya. I mean, they would have duct taped them to a plane and shot him out of there. I mean, that's. To a rocket and shot him out. I mean, that's what they would have done if it wasn't Tyreek Hill. But since it is, well, we got to investigate. We got to look into it. We have more we need to evaluate. He's not going to participate. Oh, he's suspended from team activities, but he will be on the field opening day. Don't you worry, folk. And you can all cheer him, as loudly as you did, even knowing that he had already choked out his pregnant girlfriend, who now is his wife and now has a 3-year-old kid who has a broken arm. But that, again, we all got to listen to how Kansas City and Andy Reid, they rehabilitated him. Oh, he's such a great, wonderful story. You know what? Make me vomit. Who's a great story? Robin Leonard is a wonderful story. For those that are familiar with his Players Tribune story and the article that he wrote for the Players Tribune, overcoming his issues. That's a great story. I don't want to hear about Tyreek Hill. Like I said, it's not something we're going to focus or harp on. I mean, we're not going to do that. At least, I don't feel it's necessary. It's out there. It's written about. We'll see what Kansas City does. But, I mean, it was amazing how they went out of their way to say nothing about it throughout the entire draft, clearly at the mandate and directive of the NFL. Well done, Roger Goodell, again. But nobody cares. Ratings will be through the roof again because they are.
Right.
Always.
Until they come down, they're going to just keep trucking along with their MO. So look, we didn't really do a formal preview of the MLB season. Our last show was I checked March 20th. So that was before the season started.
We didn't, and I didn't gloat about Virginia. So congratulations, Lip. Pat on the back for me. Picking Virginia to win the NCAA tournament. That was our last show before the tournament started. I said, Virginia, why not? One of those, hey, they lost in the first round last year to Spud Webb, or whatever. No, that was this year. They played to UMBC. This year they played the Spud Webb in the first round.
A lot of fortunate things happened to them. I don't know if miracles is the right word, but
miracles.
It was. I mean, I just still can't get over that foul that was called. That was in the semifinal.
Yeah.
Yeah,
the guy shooting the 3 in the corner and getting knocked into.
The guy got literally guy. I think that was his last name.
Yeah, guy, right? Yeah,
guy. Yep, got fouled, and what do you know? That was against Auburn. Yep, And
Yeah, that was Auburn. Yeah, that was the Final Four game, and then Texas Tech in the championship, and the crazy finishes in almost all of their games. Virginia. So congratulations to them, and including our lead creative consultant, a UVA alum who was just itching for our next episode, just so we can at least mention him. Well, mentioned. I get to gloat. And although the hip was very prophetic and not taking Michigan in our pool, knew that there was something off about them. I did. I got burned. And they were out quicker than you would have thought. But both my team and the Michigan Wolverines going down to the runner-up, of course, Texas Tech. So, but congratulations to those Virginia Wahoos. And a shame that we didn't get to see them go against Zion. Would have been nice to see Duke advance just for that, because Zion was putting on a show. Oh, well, we'll get to see him put on a show for the Memphis Grizzlies next year, whoever wins the NBA draft lottery, since we know it won't be the Knicks. All right. Well, although it's funny that you mentioned the foul, Mr. Hip. I mean, we'll get to the NBA playoffs at least to touch on for a few minutes. But, I mean, that was the story in the Houston Golden State game yesterday, was how they weren't calling those fouls. The guy shooting got the defender landing in his path and getting in his way and contacting him. And so that was the story out of that game yesterday. But we'll get to that. But we had to get the Virginia portion in. Any more NFL draft stuff that you want to do before we move on?
No, not really. We'll talk more about it as we only have like over 4 months until the season starts. So I think we'll have some time.
We will. I'll just say very quickly, I'm in agreement with those that are baffled by what the Giants are doing. Again, the Jets going about their thing, staying under the radar. They took Williams. Williams, actually, the Alabama defensive tackle they took is supposed to be Aaron Donald. That's what he's supposed to be. That's what they're hoping for. If he's that, hey, you got yourself an all-pro potential defensive MVP. If he's not that, if he's even something remotely close to that, you take it and you move on. Great pick if it is. The Giants, I don't know. I just don't know anymore what the hell their plan is. Why did they even bring back Eli? That's the question. And it's fair. It's legit. And right now, we don't know what they are looking to do now and in the future. Daniel Jones, I don't know anything about him. I'm not going to pretend like I do. He could end up being, blend of Eli and Peyton. Who knows? If he is great, then it was the right pick, I guess. But why do you even bother with Eli? Just cut him. Just go with, I don't mind having him sit behind. We make fun of, we mock with Kansas City model nonsense because it's so stupid. Like, that thing hasn't been done before by anybody else. But I don't mind the idea of a quarterback sitting behind a seasoned vet. He doesn't have to play right away, but it just doesn't make sense to have Eli with his salary and the fact that you were making it seem like you were going to try and go for it all this year by bringing in players, just building a defense, bringing in players and putting them around Eli and saying, let's give it one more go. Now we just have no idea. So I don't know, whatever. Like you said, we'll have plenty of time. And that's that. Moving on.
Yeah, I mean, look, we have a full month of baseball season in the books. The season started at the end of March. And the New York Yankees.
Panic time for the Mets and the Yankees and the Red Sox. Defending champion Red Sox.
Red Sox are 11-17. Yankees are 17-11.
Panic, though, because everybody's injured.
They're
going to be calling us to play the utility infielder. Hey, hip and lip, you want to come play utility infield and outfield?
Remarkable. I mean, look, if we said the Yankees would be 17-11 after the first month, you'd be like, all right, sure, yeah, fine. But if you've looked at the lineups that they've
not injured, everybody's injured.
It's been unbelievable. Never seen this, this amount of injuries to star players where. Look, they're starting to get some of them back, but it's just been truly remarkable to their offense. And yet they've still been finding ways to win in large part because of their pitching and timely hitting. Luke Voigt has been a monster the last week. He just got hot and,
those launch angles from Luke Voigt. Mm-hmm.
Well, he had a patch where he wasn't hitting well. He started out, I think his first at bat of the season was a home run, a 3-run shot. And, he'd been okay. But he got really hot last week. Gary Sanchez is back, 2 homers in 2 games, and they've had Torres. He's been okay. They've kept the team afloat, and when they get more guys back, look out. I mean, the Rays are still ahead of them. I think the Rays are going to be competitive all year, providing their pitching holds up. It should be an interesting season for the Yankees now that they're off to this start, and they get Severino back potentially in July. He's been out, and they've still managed to keep it together. I mean, the thing is, pitching has been terrible around the league, and they do have a great bullpen. So if they continue this formula, CC is back and he's keeping them in games, and Tanaka's been fine, and Paxton looks like he could be a top pitcher as long as he stays healthy. He got off to a bit of a rugged start there, but J.A. Happ looks like also he's turned the corner a bit.
Yeah, J.A. Happ. Well, he was terrible. I mean, they were all terrible at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, but who wasn't? You look around, pitching in general is a lot of these top flight starters have not been up to their expectations.
A few Mets starters. We'll get to them, I guess.
Natural transition to the Mets. So I may have said it on this podcast. Going into the season for the Mets, I've said it ad nauseum now. Between DeGrom, Syndergaard, and Wheeler, you get a 450 innings out of those guys, and you're going to be in the playoff hunt. Now, they have not performed up to expectations. They've performed, and they've taken the hill every fifth day, except DeGrom's had an elbow scare, which was handled very
poorly because of the Mets.
In the media, and we could talk about that. But
because it's the Mets. When did they ever handle injuries well? Cespedes, where is he? Oh, wait.
Look, they have a good and deep lineup, and I'm not worried about it. And Alonso's been out of his mind with from day one. So that's worked out. Kudos to the Mets for not manipulating service time and holding him back the first few weeks. They said, nope, he's our best. We're going with our best 25. And
I know we got to give him kudos for that. Isn't that amazing that we have to give him kudos for, worrying about the extra couple $1 million he'll make an arbitration, being eligible a year earlier. It's we have to give him kudos for that. I mean, that's how low the Mets have had sunken. But anyway.
Well, it's not specific to the Mets, but it's around the league.
Oh, no, I know. But but the Mets are supposed to be, a New York market. It's supposed to be, who cares? We're not the Tampa Bay Rays, even though the Rays have like a $5 million payroll and they're always winning and they're in first place.
Got to use the false opener. That's the strategy. They're doing it tonight.
The bullpen guy's starting.
Jalen Beeks is going to take the hill tonight.
Who? Clarence Beeks, the guy from Trading Places.
Ryan Stanek is taking the hill for the Rays tonight. Expected to pitch 1 to 2 innings and then give way to Yanni Chirinos.
Obviously, of course, recipe for success.
I'm sorry. Who did I say? Jalen Beeks is their other long man.
Oh, Clarence Beeks, yes, Trading Places guy, right? We know.
Yeah. So I mean, here's the thing. Like, people are worried. Like, Noah Syndergaard, what is going on with this guy?
Well, the 3 starters: DeGrom, Syndergaard, Wheeler, all awful. One more awful than the last, right?
So Jacob DeGrom has let up 4 or more runs in, I think, 4 of his 5 starts. His ERA is over 6. What's going on? His velocity.
Well, 4.85. I see here. Is that what? 4.85 for DeGrom.
Oh, DeGrom. Okay, yeah. Syndergaard is over 6.
Yeah, Syndergaard is
6.35.
6.35 for Syndergaard. 4.85 for DeGrom.
Left on base rate of 56.8. So let's.
Oh, here come those advanced statistics. And Zach Wheeler also 4.85. Is Steven Matz their best pitcher? Is it the Mets after all these years now with their big pictures and?
Did you see the game that he pitched against the Phillies, Steven Matz? Did you forget he didn't record a single out, and he let him 9 runs?
But his ERA is still only 3.68. Isn't that amazing? The fact that he had that bad of a game and his ERA is still 3.68. That's
pretty remarkable, actually. I don't know if that's possible.
But here's a question I'll pose to you. Is Noah Syndergaard now? DeGrom, I think, will be fine. I mean, unless there's something, his mechanic, we hear about mechanics and his underlying statistics. I don't know if there's something in his FIP or BABIP that you can tell us about with DeGrom. Syndergaard, he's the guy that worries you if you're a Met fan, because I see Matt Harvey written all over him. He just feels like he's taken over that prima donna diva role that was vacated by Harvey. And, and we say, what is Harvey? What is his ERA out in Anaheim? Like 122? I mean, if he even is in baseball next year, it would be a miracle. Syndergaard, I feel like, is trending in that direction. He doesn't have his contract, and the Mets might be like, Noah, you stink. See ya. I mean, is that? Or do you think that he's shown enough with his stuff, with the underlying metrics, that he can rebound?
Career ERA is still 3. He's, I mean,
But he's injured. He doesn't always take the ball. I mean, he is 30. He's started 30 games once in his whole career. His whole career. It's not. It's been that long. I mean, this is his 5th full year, I guess.
I think
It's only a month in. Granted,
right now. Where look, it's only a month, and sometimes guys look. I'm sure if we go back and look at Luis Severino's pitching line last year, I know I'm oversimplifying the counterpoint, but just by example, I believe that Luis Severino had a 5-start stretch where he put up numbers like this last year. He just started off amazing, and then in the second half,
well, they all do. They all do. They all do. I mean,
right.
Very few. I mean, DeGrom didn't last year. I mean, you can go back. How many pitchers like never have they have like one bad start like every 3 months. I mean, those are few and far between.
Yeah. Well, clearly, look, he's.
Unless Trevor Bauer, of course, Trevor Bauer. Yeah.
Right, of course. No, Syndergaard's getting hit. This isn't him just being wild.
Well, control isn't. I mean, he's always had great control. He's never really walked a lot of guys.
His problem is that
he's still striking out people.
He's throwing and he's not pitching, meaning he's just saying, "Here's my fastball, here's my slider, hit it," and he's not really doing.
He's not locating. Well, apparently his he's like 99, like whatever the pitch stat is. Like when he throws like 99 above, it's like the worst average, like in baseball or something over the last like couple of years, like average against or something. I know I saw a stat like that too. So it seems like he just has a straight fastball that once they catch up, they hit it, right?
Right. He's just throwing, and I think he has to. He's basically, it's a matter of him controlling within the strike zone. So that's the part that he has to transition to. And if
I see Matt Harvey, and he might be another year or two, and he's gone.
I think part of Matt Harvey's issue though was a head case,
I think Syndergaard's a little bit of a head case too. I see it in him. He's always like in the news for non-baseball related stuff now. I feel like there's always a headline with him, with his Twitters and the other social media stuff. And, like apparently it just seems like he has like that prima donna diva part in him, that characteristic in him. I don't know. It's my perception, of course, and maybe it's unfair. Maybe it's false. But I just see it in him, and I don't know. Like DeGrom, it seems like he is as straight-laced and straightforward and, as a matter of fact, business-like as you can possibly find as a superstar starting pitcher. But Syndergaard, not so much. Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, it's look, when a pitcher's struggling, and you could say that about Trevor Bauer all you want to, getting into Twitter wars with like 22-year-olds. And stuff.
Did he? Okay, well,
yeah. But you look for explanations, and it makes sense, and you can't argue your point. And so
I'll answer this. So Met fans have reason to be optimistic for this season because after the first month, after viewing them the first month, they're the opponents in the division. Everybody's not very good or stinks. The Marlins are terrible. The Phillies are
provided their pitchers take them out every 5 days. This is like almost their floor, I feel like, at this point. Because they're not getting much from DeGrom's Syndergaard or Wheeler. Now, if those guys go down and you start losing innings, well, the floor is going to bottom out. But look, 14-13, I think their offense will be fine. I really like Jeff McNeil. Brandon Nimmo will pick it up a bit.
Yeah, Brandon Nimmo, finding Nemo.
Cano got hit in the hand again, but it looks like he's
been terrible.
Another scare. Yeah, he's picked it up the last week or so. He was off to a slow start.
That division's not very good. The Braves are the Braves pitching is awful, right? I mean, the Philly Bryce Harper. Oh my God, they're probably already regretting that contract. I mean, the Marlins are just beyond terrible.
But the Phillies are gonna be competitive just because they have. I mean, I say they should have decent pitching, but Nola's struggling. Which is, I mean, starters all around the league are struggling. It's just very bizarre.
Because they're walking and giving up home runs, but they're striking out everybody. Well, we'll get to that. Actually, I have some interesting stats a little bit later on for everybody, but we'll get to that.
Well, plenty of baseball left, but I still think, barring health, the Mets are going to stay competitive in that division.
So you think that would you say better than 50-50 winning the division? pitching turns around. Would you? Let's say the pitching turns around. If both the Mets and Phillies are going at optimal level, let's leave the Braves and Nationals out of it for a second. If both of those teams are going at optimal level, who wins the division? The Braves or the Phillies or the Mets?
I think the Nationals are still a good team because of Corbin and Scherzer leading that rotation. Like that
lineup stinks.
It bottoms out pretty quickly after like the fifth hitter, and Rendon's been out the last week, so that's hurt them. Yeah, I mean their lineup is not quite the same. They don't measure up, but any of these teams should be rushing to sign Craig Kimbrell, which is another whole story.
What about Dallas Keuchel? Will he be a Mets? Will the Mets say finally, we'll just sign him?
I don't know. I think if one of their starters goes down, then yes, but I'm not in a rush to do it. Not
right. And what about the Yankees? Do the Red Sox at 11-17? Are they going to storm back and overtake the Rays? And will the Yankees be able to keep up?
Hurt. Chris Sale
awful.
He is not pitching that well, and I don't think he's not going to be the vintage Sale. He's just not
again.
Well, I don't think he's going to get back up. His velocity is just not there, and his slider doesn't look as good. It's not as effective. I don't think so. I don't think you're going to see.
He has a 6.3 ERA. He's at Syndergaard level bad. 7 home runs in 30 innings.
Pitched fairly well, but he's not an ace type anymore.
Oh, Rick Porcello.
Their pitching is just not very good, and I mean they have a bunch of good. Mookie Betts has been pretty bad actually so far.
Really, I didn't see that.
He hasn't done much. Yeah, surprisingly.
Not JD over there.
JD's been decent, but not like he hasn't hit at the level that he would have expected to.
Well, will the Rays keep this up? I mean, are the Rays for real with their $7 million payroll and they're starting their middle relief guys with Clarence Beeks and the other hipster and what? Is this like legit? Have they like found a new kind of money ball, where it's not just Scott Hatteberg and on base percentage? What are they doing down there in Tampa?
I mean, look, Snell is back today or tomorrow. He missed the start because he dropped a piece of granite on his toe and it broke.
Not a cooking accident. This was a dropping granite on your toe.
He returned, but he only, it was like a 65 pitch outing. But they only have 3 starters. They
don't need them. They don't need starters. I mean,
yeah, but if they lose, the thing is, if they start losing any of those guys, like Charlie Morton I don't think he may have thrown 200 innings once in his career.
He's a hip guy. He's a hip guy. Or he's not this year. He was last year, not this year.
I don't know. I just didn't think he could do it 2 years in a row where he throws 160 innings. And Tyler Glasnow has pitched amazingly. He's broken out, I guess, so far this year, but I'm still skeptical.
How about that trade? Archer, who stinks, for Glasnow. Whew.
And they got Austin Meadows.
Oh, yes, indeed.
To a ridiculously good start, but then he hurt his thumb and he's been out for a week. The Rays have a lot of depth and they play the matchups with their lineup and it just all seems to click. And look, the
Yankees have a over $200 million payroll now, right? The Rays are at $48 million with their active players. So I'm
last year, like this shouldn't be surprising people. If you were paying attention last year, this should not surprise anyone. Can they stay ahead of Boston and New York for the entire season? I don't think so. I don't think so.
Yeah, right. Well, we'll see if the Red Sox can, storm it. I mean, it's amazing that the Orioles even won 10 games so far. I would have thought they wouldn't have won their 10th game until like the 4th of July. So I guess
Chris Davis started hitting,
What was it? 0 for 50 what? 4 or something?
I read that the other Chris Davis with a K hit 16 home runs from the time that it took for Chris Davis to get a hit.
Just a single hit. That's amazing. A tale of 2 Chris's. 2 Chris Davises. Oh God.
Insane.
Well, I got some more stats for later. That'll be our hipster moment to Zenith. I figure we'll shuffle away from Mike Francesa, even though there's so much fodder there. So all right. So what's your number one shock this season? Anybody, the whole league? What's the number one shock? Something that's jumped out of you? Stats? Something you've seen? Teams? What would you say is number one? Holy cow! Didn't see that coming.
number one shock.
Something that just like jumps off at you for the first month. Team, player, stat, something Enos related, something H, and then we'll move it along.
Yeah, I got to come up with something now.
All right. Well, I guess I just figured there was something that like jumped off. Well, you said the starters, the ace starters, how terrible they've been. You look at the ERA list, and it's like a who's who of who's that. I've never heard of this guy. I mean, that's like your top ERA leaders in baseball right now.
I mean, look.
Like I said, well, I do have others. Like I said, I do have the hipster stats for later on one of Tom Verducci's articles today, so I guess we can just save that. But
I mean, I think just to expand on the MLB starters issues, let me give you the MLB ERA leaders as of today and how shocking this list is. I think that does it for me. I keep checking this list. So here's the top 10 MLB leaders in earned run average.
Who's who of who the hell is this?
Luis Castillo,
who?
Marcus Stroman, Matt Shoemaker, Tyler Glasnow, Trevor Bauer, Joe Musgrove, Caleb Smith, Matt Fried, A. Sanchez, that's Aaron Sanchez on Toronto, and Patrick Corbin. Those are your top 10 ERA leaders in Major League Baseball.
I wonder what their collective salaries are like compared to like Kershaw and Scherzer and Sale and.
It's just a crazy list.
What is it? I mean, baseball, it's unbelievable now. You can't even like recognize it in terms of like who's supposed to be good, who's supposed to be bad, individuals, teams. I mean, it's the strikeouts and the hits. And like I said, there was an article that just came out today that I saw. I was like, this is perfect HMOZ.
You know, one thing that's surprising, Tim Anderson's start to the season. So Tim Anderson generated some controversy with his bat flip, and he was thrown at and all that. I don't know if you remember that.
I mean, that's been like big headlines and just like the bat flipping and the throwing at the hit batsmen and throwing at people. And I mean, it's like, and it's, fostered this, ridiculous debate of,
I don't understand the anti-bat flip. I mean, okay. So I understand why people say it, because it's disrespectful. It's, what you're showboating, whatever. Dude, have you ever watched an NFL touchdown celebration?
Well, it's a conga line. It's like a dance number. That's what.
No. The issue is that because it's individualized, baseball is such an.
Unless you're Beckham, then you're peeing in the end zone.
It's because the pitcher takes direct offense because he's the one who threw the pitch and let up the home run. In the NFL, at least, it's not a single guy that lets up the touchdown. So the attention isn't on one guy that allowed it. That's why you get these reactions from these pitchers, and because they have the ball and they can throw it and hit you. And it's but it's just also generational. I'll even like Frank Robinson died. I mentioned on our last show, it was like a month ago now. And so many players now love to stand and admire their what they think is a home run, even though sometimes it doesn't always clear the fence. And then all of a sudden, they're hustling into second base and maybe getting hurt because they weren't standing at second base, that they were busting out of the box. But Frank Robinson did that once in his career. And there was a story that he went up to Earl Weaver after he did it, and he left him money and said, "I'm finding myself. I am sorry. That will never happen again." After he had to settle for a single after admiring a shot that he thought was going out, hit off the wall. So I mean, that just tells you again the generational gap. And now the players are trying to have fun, and who cares, and pitchers shouldn't care, and stop throwing at them and just let them do it. You know what? I don't have patience for any of it. Okay, the hits, the police in the game thing has always been a part of the game. That's never bothered me. I never intentionally throwing at guys' heads or anything. So, I mean, that should be. Apparently, a pitcher was suspended for. Who was it that was it a Yankee pitcher that threw at a batter's head without hitting him? But just because it was clear that he was trying to, either give him the chin music or whatever, and baseball said, okay, 2 games, you're suspended. I guess for a pitcher, it's who cares? It's unless it was a middle reliever, I don't know. But that's the game has changed. It's different, and just either accept it or whatever. I don't know. W-gas. Moving on. Jeff McNeil. I mean, I thought he'd be good, but I didn't think he'd maintain this level. I mean, he's hitting
Jeff McNeil
355 with an OBP of 43% or whatever.
Well, Mets fans tingly when they hear Jeff McNeil and Peter Alonso.
Peter Alonso set a record for the most extra base hits in the first 10 games of the year or something, or whatever it was.
Well, I mean, just like the stats are just insane. Like, this record broke, and like I said, I have a whole trove of them for later.
Good. Well, all right. So let's move to the New York Islanders.
Oh God, who wants to talk about
everything
that?
here. So they had to me a shocking sweep of the Pens. I don't and Islander fans just beyond excited about the potential this team has going advancing to the second round and not only trailing for like 6 total minutes in the entire series. I mean, just an complete domination.
Well, I was just shocked that they didn't just end the series after 3 games. I thought they were going to be like, all right, you know what, Pens go home. Islanders are just so good.
And so just like that, timing's everything. Now the Islanders are down 2-0, losing their first 2 games at home at the Barclays, whereas the first series they were at the Coliseum. Controversy. Yeah, so now the Islanders have to win 4 of 6. I'm sorry. Take it back. 4 of 5 remaining games in this series. Good luck.
Good luck indeed.
I mean, is this a different team to you, or were they just more, at least so far? I mean, look, it's only 2 games that they lost, but have they just not capitalized? I mean, they hit the crossbar twice in the third period. It was last night. They had their chances and just couldn't. They just couldn't get the puck in the net. It felt like.
1 goal in 2 games. I mean, that really sums it up for the Islanders. I mean, we didn't get a chance to get into the Penguins series. We could do a whole debriefing now. What do you think? Well, games 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll go through each one, each period, each shift.
Well done.
I mean, was I shocked that they beat the Penguins? No. Was I shocked they swept them? Yes. But here's the biggest difference between the Penguins and the Carolina Hurricanes. Now, everybody likes to think offense. You're not looking at a team's defense. You're looking at their forwards. So you look at the Penguins' forwards and you say Crosby, Malkin, Kessel, Gensel. Wow, look at that offensive firepower. How are you ever going to be able to stop them? And how were they stopped? Well, partially the Islanders' defensive structure and their system and limiting their high danger opportunities, but also the fact that the Penguins' defense was awful. Their defense was not able to generate anything from the back end. They had to rely solely on their offense being able to generate everything in the offensive zone after establishing possession. And the Islanders, that's where they are at their best because they take away everything down low. Barry Trotz's system is meant to not to really pressure at the points as much as to take away the stuff below the end line. And that's where the Penguins a lot of times do their best work, Crosby and Malkin and those guys. The Carolina Hurricanes have a tremendous defense. Jacob Slavin is a terrific underrated defender. Justin Falk has been around a while and has always been a very good offensive defenseman. Puck moving, and when you hear puck moving, you think, a guy can skate with the puck or he can, get it up for a stretch pass quickly. It doesn't always mean that. It means that exactly when you retrieve the puck, and especially for the Islanders who love to dump and chase. The Islanders don't like to carry the puck into the offensive zone as much as other teams do. They love to dump and chase, or as Butchie always says, chip and chase. Well, where is that a problem? When the Hurricanes are able to retrieve the puck quickly and quickly move it out, transition it out, it neutralizes what the Islanders can do on the forecheck. Now, I would say that there's a few themes for this series thus far. I just wanted to do a little dichotomy between the Hurricanes and the Penguins. So far, a couple themes. Number one, you have to talk about the building. Why? Because the Islander fan base, after the Coliseum, NYCB Live presents whatever, having the first round series against the Penguins in that building, having half their games there this year, but specifically the 2 playoff games against the Penguins that were both tremendous, great games, fantastic atmospheres. I was at game 1. The place was electric for, I know Barry said the second period. Where were we? It was an electric atmosphere. There was a negative vibe as soon as fans started filing into the Barclays Center. The Islander fans absolutely despise and detest the Barclays Center. It is just something that just creates a negative energy. Now, I was not at game 1, but I was there yesterday, and the fans in the beginning were ready to get loud, to cheer, to, have any reason to get excited. There was a legit enthusiasm in the crowd at the very beginning of the game, but the Islanders just have not given them anything to really cheer about. They've had yesterday had a 5-on-3 kill, which the building got loud. Obviously, they scored only the one goal in the first 2 games, nothing on Friday. Again, I wasn't there, but somebody that I know was there said the building felt like it was dead after the very beginning of the game when you had that that initial energy and excitement. And it really was kind of the similar yesterday. I wouldn't say dead, but it definitely did not have the feel, the atmosphere of NYCB Live. And I think just the fact that we were given that, we had that first round and having that building and it just being as great as it was, people were just so disappointed. Even though they were happy the team moved on, it was, we got to go back to the Barclays. We got to go back into that building with that jerk Yormark coming in on his helicopter to the Coliseum. It was just a bad vibe, and the fact that the team was not able to generate any offense or very little offense really just kind of compounded the situation. And the Hurricanes, after game 1, where the Hurricanes, I would say they were a lot more even. The ice was atrocious. That's another thing. The ice in the Barclays has been awful. It wasn't good in the Coliseum. I mean, it was, had its moments where it wasn't so good, whatever. It's been absolutely abysmal in the Barclays. Game 1, puck was bouncing all over the place. Yesterday, it was a little bit better, I thought, being there, but still the ice is terrible. And really, game 1, it was about Clutterbuck in overtime with the terrible turnover that led to Carolina coming back the other way, eventually scoring. Evenly matched. Of course, he said that game 1 was pretty evenly matched. The Islanders have had more high danger chances if we're going into the advanced stats the first 2 games. They outchanced them even more yesterday. They really suppressed what Carolina was doing yesterday, and I thought yesterday they played better, but they just didn't assert themselves yesterday. There still was something missing overall yesterday. Bailey has not had a good first 2 games. He was great in the first round. Eberle was brilliant in the first round. I mean, he was sniping all over the place. He's played well. He just hasn't been able to capitalize at a crossbar yesterday. Barzal had the goal, but it went off the skate. Of course, disallowed goals is a theme because the Islanders had one disallowed on Friday for what I thought was an atrocious penalty call, goaltender interference. Nobody knows what it is anymore. We still, we're still waiting for the NHL to actually define what it is, since they redefine it every game. They go. It's basically on a whim of whatever the referee in Toronto says at that moment. So the Islanders couldn't even challenge it after the goal was waved off. Barzal scores. Lee hits into the goalie. Penalty call. Can't challenge because of the penalty, even though it looked like the goalie was out of the crease and because Lee was getting pushed in. And then, of course, Taves yesterday kicking the puck, it going off of the Carolina goalie and then into the back of the net. He kicked the puck from below the end line. So obviously he wasn't kicking the puck at the net, which is technically what the rule is interpreted, has always been interpreted as, that you can't kick the puck into the net. More of a safety thing than anything else. But he wasn't even at the net, at least in the goal mouth. He was below the end line, and it was just a weird deflection. And you saw Taves. I saw it from a mile away. Even from my seat, I was, high enough. That place is, you feel like you're going to fall off a cliff in that building, which we've talked about before. When we were there, the hip, we were there in 16, and I'm sure you remember. I mean, the place was a fantastic. I mean, they won 2 of the games that we were at that year, both overtime games. Hickey and then the guy who should not be named. But I mean, it was a great atmosphere. Was the Coliseum? No, but it was still a great atmosphere, and it just wasn't there in the first 2 games. But partially because they just didn't give us anything much to cheer about. And Carolina yesterday was clearly, after losing their defenseman in the first 2 minutes, down at defenseman, you then lose your goalie halfway through the game. In comes Journeyman, who had played a grand total of like 80 playoff minutes in his whole career. He's 35, McElhaney, and the Islanders still didn't capitalize. They still didn't test him enough. And that's where we are now. The Islanders are staring at the abyss. They are going into an absolute pit in Carolina. That place is going to be insane. And Carolina, I guarantee you, will elevate that game. Plus, they will get back potentially 2 of their top offensive guys, and Svechnikov, the 20-year-old Russian, and Michael Furlan. And if they do, the Islanders are going to be in such a hole. And I'm going to say this right now for Barry Trotz, who has done he's the Jack Adams. He's going to be the Jack Adams Award winner without question. We know, with the deservedly so. You cannot look Islander fans in the eye and say we're sticking with this lineup that has scored 1 goal in the first 2 games for game 3. If you do, they're going to lose. And then you can tell us about house money, expectations, and the hipster doctrine in October. Oh, they'd be lucky to not finish in last place in the Metro. Look where we are. Who would have thought? Just be happy, Islander fans. How dare you criticize? Guess what? You're here now. You have a chance now Tampa's gone. Washington's gone. You have to go through them. Boston is, I'm sorry, they have not impressed me in their first 9 games. Columbus actually looks, I think they're going to beat Boston, and they will be a very formidable opponent in the next round. But guess what? They're not unbeatable. Tampa's gone. Washington was beaten for you by supposedly the lesser team. You're here. Go out and win. Don't tell me house money or, hey, just be happy we're here. Screw that. And that's a loser attitude in the team. I hated their quotes yesterday after the game. Oh, we played so well. Oh, we played so well. We just didn't get the bounces. Something that's loser talk. We know how hockey is a game of the thinnest of razor, thinnest of margins, and how, especially in these 1-goal tight checking games, it's a coin flip. And if you just want to reduce it to that, you know what? Then just bow out. You want to pull the Billy Bean of the Oakland. Oh, crapshoot. Then just forfeit. Get out. I mean, wave the white flag. I want to see changes for Wednesday. I want to see Joshua Ho-Sang in, and I want to see Dal Call in too. Clutterbuck may not play. We'll see. If he doesn't, Dal Call's going in. I mean, that's automatic. I want Tom Kuhnackel out. He played well the first 2 games. Kudos to him against the Penguins. Fine. He has not done anything anything off. He has 2 assists in the 6 games. It's not good enough. Get him out. Get Ho-Sang in, roll with that. You lose, so be it. You left your chips on the table. Stop with we're going to do it our way. It's a process. Oh, we're sticking the course. Nonsense. Get out with that. Go out and win. Mr. Hip, what do you have to say?
2 things. The second goal that Carolina scored yesterday was deflection in front of the net, right?
Good goal.
Now, how often do you think these players practice that?
Oh, well, Niederreiter's good at that. Niederreiter, of course, being the former Islander. Traded for Clutterbuck.
I just can't. Do these players literally stand in front of a net and there's a guy taking slap shots from the blue line and they just stand there?
I'm sure they do. I'm sure that. I mean, Lee was great at. Where's Anders Lee been? He's had a terrible playoffs. He's completely snake bitten.
Not talked about. I wonder, is there a stat on quality deflections?
Oh yeah. I mean, the hipster advanced stats. You go to natural stack trick, or there's another one in there too. I mean, you can find all of the
the quality of deflections.
Yeah, there's graphs, there's stats.
It's pretty. It's what's amazing is that the puck is so tiny, and you're trying to it's one thing to make for the puck to make contact with the stick, but then to deflect it, meaning it has to catch just the end, like the very edge of the stick, and not square. I don't know. It just seems
it's a skill. I mean, these guys are so highly skilled, and it's not. I mean, people, the Mike Francesas of the world are going to reduce hockey to and again, there's so much luck and puck luck and bounces. We get it, but. Those guys reduce it to the goaltending. I don't know. Is it good? I guess. So then they'll win or something. I don't know. I mean, it's unbelievable how skilled these guys are with, and just, I mean, the most minute details and the most the little subtleties and nuances that, I mean, if you're the casual fan, you're just all right, there's the puck. They're going back and forth. This guy's chasing, this guy's skating, that guy's doing this. But it's unbelievable how skilled these guys are. The first goal Leonard should have had, but you know what? Robin Leonard's been brilliant. I mean, Robin Leonard. Vezina Trophy one of the finalists for the Vezina Trophy for top goaltender in the league. Brilliant year, fantastic year. You can't say enough about him. It was fantastic against the Penguins. And, look, he's let up 3 goals in 2 games. You want to give him crap? There was even whispers of, or at least people saying Grice was great in the regular season too. They were both terrific. You're not sitting Leonard. Leonard's going to start, and there should be other lineup changes. Boychuk's out. Hickey's come in. He's done a good job. I would have said Hickey should not go, and I would have said Sebastian Aho, the other guy, the Islander Sebastian Aho. But he's actually done a good job, Hickey, so I leave him alone. But I want to see 2 lineup changes to the forwards, and if they don't, I am going to be really disappointed in Barry Trotz. I really will be.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
The other thing is you
posts and missed and
you mentioned about this kind of negative energy at the Barclays. And I get that the Islanders didn't give them anything to really get excited about, but that's the fans' own fault. I get that the building is not ideal and it just, it's not the same as Nassau Coliseum, but that should be no excuse for the fans to be just as loud at the beginning of the game as they were at the Coliseum.
Well, I thought they were yesterday. I thought they were ready to get. I mean, there was definitely a positive energy, I think, in the building at the beginning of the game yesterday.
That you say, I think.
No, there was. I mean, like I was a few non-bitter hipster beers in at that point. So, but I actually missed the 2 goals because of my cycle was off. So.
Really dismiss your entire assessment of the series, or at least of that game.
But it's a theme, and it's something that everybody. It's just it was a negative vibe because people were just so disappointed. And you're right, and that's all them. It's all in the fans' heads because they are piling into a building that they hate after just being in a building a week ago that they love, and it creates a different type of atmosphere. And we were there. You were there with me in 2016 when they played Florida, and it was great.
It was. All right. Well, next week we'll see if they can make this a series and at least make it 3-1. Whether if they go down 3-0 and
it's over. Game 3 we know is a must-win. Cliche, fine, but they have to weather the storm in the first 10 minutes of Game 3 because Carolina is going to be all over them. If they can weather the storm, and let's say they're even down a goal or something, it's 1-0 after the first 10 minutes. That I would say is a success. If it's 3-0, they're going to bow out. They're going to fold up tent and shop and go home. I could just see it coming. I really can. Don't talk to me about Game 4 if they lose Game 3. The series is done. They're not going to come back from a 3-0 deficit. It's just it's been done a few times in the history of the league. This is not a team that's built to do that. They just don't have enough offense. And like I said, the change has to be done now. Has to be made now. And Barry has to have the gumption to do it. We've seen other teams. We saw our old friend John Tortorella right now, Tortorella in Columbus play a French kid like Texier or something that had like a grand total of like 2 NHL games and said, you know what? He's ready to play. He can contribute. I'm playing him. I don't give a damn about veterans, even though he was all about the veterans. He was one of the guys the coaches that would like prefer a triple root canal to playing a young player. That was his old approach. He's realized that you can't approach it that way anymore. You can't just be putting, the glue, intangible leadership and, oozing intangibles and, locker room glue guys. And, we're going to grind you down. That's not how it's done anymore, where you can have a whole bunch of those guys and pedal them out there and expect them to contribute. The fourth line done nothing the whole playoffs. 0 points combined for Casey, Martin, and Clutterbuck. The whole playoffs in the 6 games, nothing. 0 points. It's not going to get the job done. Kuhnhackl has to go out. Clutterbuck might be out anyway, but if he's not, then who has to go out? Uncle Leo. I'm sorry, Uncle Leo. It's time to thank you. Goodbye. Dal Cole and Ho-Sang should be in the lineup for Game 3. End of story. And for those that are so anti-Joshua Ho-Sang, you know what? Shut the hell up. Go away. That's all I got.
Yeah, well, let's transition here. I know you want to talk about the NBA a little bit. I'm kind of
well. I'll just before we'll get to the other hockeys, I guess, as we progress here. I'll just before we go to the NBA, I'll just say one thing. Who do you think right now is the best player in the playoffs in the NHL?
I'm not the person to ask that question.
Well, if I were to say his name, do you think you would recognize the name?
Well, the fact that you're mentioning this, the answer is going to be no.
Nathan McKinnon. Have you heard that name before?
No.
Best player playing still in the playoffs.
Colorado? San Jose?
Yeah. You Colorado. You got it the first time. That's right. All right. You should check out that series. That's going to be a terrific series. Crazy finish to San Jose Vegas. Down 3-0, 10 minutes to go in Game 7. Come back 4-3, 4-4 tie Vegas. Win in overtime San Jose. It's been a good playoff so far. It has been. You had a few sweeps in the first round. Tampa going down the Goliath, Tampa Bay, Columbus 30 points less than them in the regular season. That was just amazing. Obviously the Islanders. They were a story. Now all of a sudden, they may not be a story in a few days. It's been an entertaining playoffs. You got Dallas all of a sudden. They're looking formidable. Colorado winning last night. And then of course Columbus, the team that had never won a playoff series in their whole existence. Until they beat Tampa. How about that? Almost 20 years in the league, Columbus never won a playoff series. But the Islanders have won exactly now 2 in the last 26 years. And they hopefully, I thought it was going to make it.
I'm sweeping Tampa.
Sweeping them. Yeah. How about that? Amazing.
How about that? How about all the people that care? Yes.
Yes, well, the Ranger fans care because they would have gotten the first round pick if Tampa would have made the finals or if they would have won the cup. Might have been made the finals, but anyway. Yep, so, poor Rangers. Yes, anyway. WGS. Next, basketball. Have you been watching every single second of the NBA playoffs?
Who hasn't? I've watched here and there. I watched the Brooklyn series. And,
You did? Well, you're one of the few, since the ratings are down 19% from last year. The ratings are down in the NBA 19%.
I wonder if it's because it's a little. Is it actually, besides Golden State? It's less top heavy? I feel like.
Well, no LeBron. I mean, where's LeBron? I don't know. It's amazing. I mean, that's like that. I can't even comprehend that number. I mean, it goes up and down. Like it's a larger rating in the NHL. NHL is actually up 1%, but they're a much lower number. So that actually is a big deal for the NHL be up 1%. The NBA being down 19% is just mind blowing. I mean, the first round in the Eastern Conference was some of the most unwatchable basketball we have ever seen. I mean, that Eastern Conference first round was how many? Milwaukee 1-5, right? Sixers 1-5. Boston did they sweep or they 1-5? And then
no, I think they did sweep.
Oh, they did sweep. I mean, like it was just they were all non-competitive. So I mean, I mean these two series, they do intrigue me. I think Boston, after winning yesterday, I think they have just too much depth for Milwaukee. I mean, if Giannis is going to get defended like that by Horford, they're going to bow out. So you've actually watched a little bit. All right. I mean, I have not watched too much. I'll be honest. It's just I'm expecting another Golden State championship. I think if Golden State is 80% motivated, they'll win. If they dip below that, then they could be picked off. They're not going to lose to Houston here. I mean, they already, they won yesterday after all the controversy with no fouls, even though I guess it was a great game. I didn't see any of it, so I'm not going to sit here and say that I did. I saw the headlines, though, with that. You have any other thoughts so far in the NBA playoffs?
Well, I did pick a couple of first-round upsets, but they didn't happen. So
really, which one? In the Eastern Conference?
Well, I picked the Nets just for fun.
All right. Well, I actually thought the Nets would give them a more competitive series. I guess they were relatively competitive in one of the games at home. They won one game, but whatever.
I thought OKC could.
They're the superstars. They have George and Westbrook, right?
That didn't happen.
Lillard's one of the most underrated players in the league. I'll say that. I mean, I think Giannis is the best player in the league. On Milwaukee, everybody just knows Greek Freak, although I can't pronounce his last name. And then what's his face? Lillard is a very underrated player. And everybody complaining yesterday on the Rockets and the Warriors. It seemed like it was a complaint fest with flopping and no fouls and all kinds of other nonsense. And that could be a big reason. And, 3-pointers up now for like the last decade. Apparently it was like 27,000 3-pointers that were made this year, whereas like 20 years ago, it was like 5,000 or something. I mean, we talk about the baseball with the crazy stats, and again, we'll get to that, but the NBA too, it's just, I don't know, maybe it's a combination of things. No LeBron, all three, too many 3-pointers, flopping, complaining, I don't know. No, not competitive in the first round. So we'll see if the ratings improve with some more competitive series.
Well, let's keep this moving. Transition back to, you said you had some interesting baseball stats.
WCAS for that's it. So NBA done.
Yep.
All right. Well, I guess we covered all the sports. Actually, we went from the footballs to the baseballs to the hockeys to the basketballs and
to the recap. Yeah.
Yes, indeed. So now I guess, that'll take us to the hipster moment of the Zenith. I was going to dedicate it to Mike Francesa again because it seems like every prediction now he makes, if Mike Francesa makes a prediction now, go out and bet the opposite, and you'll probably have like a 2-to-1 chance of winning the bets. If probably better than that. It's pretty amazing. Funhouse on the Twitters is the best Twitter handle out there. And that other guy that does the impression, also just his impressions, the big media productions, Mike Zahn. Watch the latest Avengers, Mike Zahn. I think he's Doctor Strange, I guess. Dr. Fatass is Mike Zahn there. So give it a view. It's a 5 minutes video, I think. Absolutely amazing. All right. Hips a moment to Zenith. The baseballs. We talked about some crazy stats. All the starting pitchers, the A starting pitchers all stink. Well, we all know, and we've talked about, at least I have talked about, how strikeouts are crazy insane now. I've talked about it in the past. I mean, it's written about all over the place if you're following it. So the strikeout rate, and this came out today from our old friend Tom Verducci of Sports Illustrated, the strikeout rate is now up for a 14th straight year, 17.7 strikeouts a game. 17.7. The MLB batting average this year, 246. Last year was actually 244, so a slight improvement, which are the two worst since 1973. Walks are up to their highest in 19 years. Man, the rate of double play ground balls, second lowest ever behind 1968. Why? Launch angles, people. Come on, launch angles. Yes, indeed. Let's see here. What else? So the Red Sox, an ominous trend for them. Well, the 11-17 Red Sox are in danger of losing a playoff berth. Why? Because in the wild card era, only 8 of 122 teams who have played under 400 baseball in April have recovered to reach the playoffs. Not a good sign for the Red Sox.
They're already 7.5 back out of first.
Not looking good. Craig Kimbrell on his way back.
The Orioles, 7.5. The Red Sox are out of first place.
Well, how about Craig Kimbrell for the Nationals? A 6.57 ERA. Their bullpen, I should say. The Braves pitchers are walking 4.8 batters per 9 innings. There's only been one team in the history of all of baseball ever that have walked batters at a higher rate. The 49 Yankees. So Braves fans, not looking so good. Bryce Harper this year has 88 swings and misses. Daniel Murphy last year had 85 all season. 88 swings and misses. It's a month.
That's great.
Indeed. Let's see what else here. That's kind of H. Fastball. You probably like this one. Fastball machine, Sean Doolittle. He has thrown 225 split fingers and changeups in his whole career without giving up a home run until he gave up one to Hunter Renfroe last Friday. Yes, Hunter Renfroe.
Renfroe, of course.
Yes, indeed. Marco Gonzalez. Who is this? Who is Marco Gonzalez?
Right?
So 600, and now it doesn't state here if this is only for this year. It can't be because it's only been however many starts, right? He's a starting pitcher.
Yeah.
So 627 swings and misses more than any other pitcher except for Trevor Bauer. And this is the most crazy stat, 627. Every single one have been on pitches slower than 90 miles an hour. What?
600 what? 600 pitches that what?
Swings and misses.
No.
That's what it says.
Marco Gonzalez has over 600 swings and misses?
I don't know. It says he's obtained 627 swings and misses more than any pitcher except for Trevor Bauer.
This year?
I guess it can't be this year. It doesn't make sense for this year. It doesn't specify. All these are supposed to be this year's stats, but it's weird. But it says that all of them have occurred with
Gonzalez may not have. That's as many pitches he's thrown all season.
Yeah, it's probably maybe the last 2 years now, this year and last year combined.
Gonzalez is not topping a swing. Well, he does have one more start than all the other pitchers because he pitched the game in Japan and then he pitched the first game after they returned to the States. So, but nevertheless, all right, we'll have to dive into that one. And
yes, indeed. He's another one of this. Who's that? Who's that guy? The American League is so awful. There's only 7 teams that actually have a winning record. I think it's like 7. What is it? It's 15 teams, right? It's 5 now for every division. So out of the 15 teams in the American League, only 7 have a winning record. So the Yankees have no wins. Yankees are 6 games over 500, 17-11. Yankees have 0 wins against a team with a winning record. 0. The Yankees injured players. The Yankees have paid more to their injured players than to 4 other teams have paid to their entire roster: the Pirates, the Orioles, the Marlins, and the Rays. There you go. And here's why free agency for veterans is dead. 14 players posted a WAR, the WAR, of 1.5 or greater. And every one of them is 28 or younger. So if you're old, you stink. If you're young, you're good. We'll sign you. 28 now. You're considered old and you stink at 28. Man, some interesting stuff there. One last one I'll just throw in there. With the threat of the stolen base down, pickoffs are rare. 41 runners have been picked off. The rate of players picked off is down 61% over the last 20 years. So, whatever. Yeah, so some interesting H stats in there.
41 pickoffs. I guess that's like a little more than one per day across the
Yes, indeed.
league. Yeah. All right. Nicely done. Thank you, Tom Verducci.
Oh, and one more. Yes, thank you, Tom. One more about, you said Clay Bellinger or Cody, whatever his name is, right? Who's the guy? The father was.
I'm sorry, Clay Bellinger. Clay Bellinger was a starter for the Dodgers. They have Cody Bellinger as a hitter.
Yeah, that's right. Well, you said he's having an amazing year, right?
He is having a phenomenal season.
So the one last stat I'll throw in there from our friend Tom Bellinger last year, 206 on inside strikes. Inside strikes, 206 last year. Changing his swing path this year, back to 2017 form. He is batting .533 on those pitches this year. So whatever the hell, however a batter goes from being great, having a tremendous year to being completely inept like Bellinger was last year. And now this year, that's all I had to do was just do this. Okay, fine. Now I'll bet 533 instead of 206. How does that happen? Amazing. All right, next. So I don't know any of those things that follow up to any of those, Mr. Hip.
Well,
strikeouts, more strikeouts than hits again.
Doesn't surprise me, but it's only been a month, and I think some of these outliers are going to stabilize a bit. Yes, I'm kind of just Mr. Buzzkill here, but it's
baseball is walk, strikeout, or home run. That's what baseball is. More balls get hit out of play now than they do in play for an average over an entire game.
Hit the ball in the air, folks.
It's insane. More balls go out of play than stay in play.
What do you mean, between foul balls and home runs?
No, just balls that hit in play.
I don't know what you mean.
No, more balls are hit out of play that are actually hit off the bat, that don't just get whiffed at. More balls are going out of play on the average for your average game than balls that are actually hit in play.
You mean out of play, meaning that
foul balls.
Or foul balls.
Yeah, foul balls compared to balls that are actually hit in the field of play.
So there's more foul balls than balls that are hit in play.
Yep, over the average game.
That seems like a lot.
That's true. That's another stat that I got here.
Yeah, right.
Yes.
All right.
Just whatever. All right, month in, we'll see. And yes, indeed. So that will take us to the final segment of the week, as customary. Everybody's favorite, yours and mine, of course, the Hipster beer of the week. So what should we slurp on next, Mr. Hip?
Yeah, well, good luck finding this. We've talked about this brewery before, Hudson Valley. Beer's called Mistborn. It's a sour IPA, which they just have seemed to master that. Most people are like, what's a sour IPA? I'm like, well, you just have to try it to know. It's kind of like it's like a milk, almost a milky-ish sour. But
milky sour.
Not shelf beer. I know that's a thing that I
that was a theme.
Trying to discuss more, but I took so the reason why this is here is not as much about. The beer's great, but where I had it at the Nomad restaurant in Manhattan. It's connected to the Nomad Hotel, and recently was rated the #1 cocktail bar in North America and like the #3 cocktail bar in the world.
Well, that's not bitter hipster beers. Those are cocktails.
Here in Manhattan. And so sure enough, they have Hudson Valley. So you go to the #1 cocktail bar. What do you have? A Hudson Valley.
Obviously. Out of our whole cocktail list, since we're one of the best in the world, which one do you want? Well, I'll just have a Hudson Valley sour IPA. Yep, some milk sugar and some Hallertau Blanc, etc.
$15 for the pint, I might add.
Oh, God. Jeez. Was it an extensive array of bitter BHBs in this place, or was it just Hudson Valley?
They had a few. No, they had a few, some cans as well. But I made sure I had a cocktail first, and it was like with like shaved vegetables that they serve.
Choking it down.
You put the vegetables. No, they give them to you served like that, and then you put it into your drink yourself, and then drink it with the. They give you different types of vegetables, but
they give you like broccoli or Brussels sprouts, and you throw them in your drink.
Exactly, there it is. Yes, of course, uncooked.
Yeah, obviously.
Thank you everyone for tuning in. And until next time, yes.
All right, next.
Pretty much, exactly. All right.
We'll see. Hopefully, the honors will still be playing. If they're not, we'll do the full post for it. They stink. Next.
Here come the ship and the ship. Right now!